Hey, good afternoon. Happy Monday. My name is Jennifer Wilson, and I'm here with my good friend and business partner, Tamera Loerzel. Hi, Tamera.
Hey, Jen, it's been a while. I'm glad to be back.
Yes, we're going to make you wrong for all the HR huddles we had to do without you, Tamera, although you were facilitating and stuff, so it's hard to make you wrong.
There
But
was there was a little bit of PTO and a little bit of
oh,
facility.
that's right. Alaska,
Yeah,
that little detail.
Alaska was in there, so
Yeah,
yes.
we don't begrudge you that.
That-
We missed you while you were gone, and a lot of water has passed under the bridge since then. But when Tamara and I came together to talk about what should we discuss in this week's HR Huddle, which is all about issues affecting HR professionals, we typically try to apply it to the channels that we serve, accounting and technology, but almost everything we talk about related to HR applies to every single talent management and recruiting function across the country. And so when we talked about what should we cover today, we had to decide to cover the phenomenon called quiet quitting, which was first sort of introduced maybe in TikTok, came to my attention, and I've been watching all kinds of videos and reading about it since then in the last, let's say, couple of weeks or months since I first got exposed to it. And we thought we better talk about it. And so I'll start just by saying quiet quitting, as I understand it, is when you do the bare minimum at your job. You do enough to just get by. It's like a passive aggressive, I guess, or way of doing a protest. I'm not going to give my all to my employer. I'm not going to do extras like sitting on committees or volunteering for extra duty. I'm not maybe going to work overtime hours. I'm not going to go that extra mile. I'm going to quiet quit. And so it's a new phenomenon, and supposedly mostly done by Gen Z and Gen Y millennials.
Younger
Although I don't.
they would qualify that, the younger millennials.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they've given it a name called quiet quitting. I've seen it before. It didn't have a name and it didn't have a TikTok channel to talk about it. But Tamara and I were just laughing. She and I have been working together forever and ever. Amen. And back in the olden days when we were young managers, we managed a number of call centers, but one of them was a large sales call center that had an automatic call distribution system and a small cluster of smart, sophisticated young people gamed that system, and they would park their phones on the movie hotline that played the movie times over and over and over again so that they could show these fantastic call statistics. We would call that quiet quitting. And I was laughing a few minutes ago. We discovered it because their statistics were off the chart. If they'd been slightly smarter about quiet quitting, they would have had, like
Mediocre.
yeah, less than stellar results. But anyway, quiet quitting isn't new, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. It has a new name, and I have to tell you, I know there's two camps at least. So Tamara, I'll stop talking in a second. But the two camps that I'm aware of so far that I've been reading about are the pro quiet quitters that say, working for the man or the woman, corporate America doesn't appreciate us as employees. We're not getting the kind of raises we should be getting. We're not getting the flexibility we deserve. We're not getting the appreciation that should be there. So why should we give extra? And so there's people that are pro quiet quitting as a way to sort of like shake up the way that management and leadership are looking at their people, and as kind of a protest. I'm going to call it a protest. And so there's a supportive camp that are pro protest, let's say, or pro wake up call. Then there's the non-supportive camp, and I'm going to confess that I live there. I am supportive of all of the things called, hey, treat your people fantastically and be a destination workplace. So I'm positive on that. But my negative about quiet quitting, and I live in this camp, is like it's not hurting the man or the woman who owns the business as much as it's hurting the quitter. And so anyway, Tamara, what are your thoughts on this fantastic subject?
Well, first of all, I like the idea that this is not new. And so it's like astonishing. It's astonishing people. They're sending us emails about it. And we're like, this has been around forever. So now what are we going to do about it? And so let's go down the camp of we'll start here and we'll see where this goes. But let's go down the camp of it's hurting the individual, because that is our premise. It's like, okay, you're going to stick it to the man or to the woman, to the company, but you're going to be the one that doesn't get the opportunities. You don't join a committee. You don't get the visibility. You don't get the experiences. You don't get to learn. You don't get exposure to clients. You don't get new opportunities out in the market. So you're the one that is missing out. And so we're like, why would we do that? What is missing that, you feel like that is what you need to do? And so that's like the first question that we need to say is, you're the one that's missing out, and, how come? And what is missing for you that you don't want to participate, or what do you want for your career goals, or what's your career vision? And, how can we help you, achieve that? And so that's like mind-boggling in some ways, I think, to us, that we look at that and say, hey, what's that about? And I think that's part of what there is to probe. That's what we would do. We would go and say, hey, we see that, you're not involved, and we see some opportunities for you, and we've invited you and you've said no the last couple times. How come? I mean, that's the conversation that we would start to say, to get their perspective. We'd always come from an inquiry. What's happening? Tell us about what's happening, or what's having you say no to these opportunities that we see for you. So I think that's where we would start.
Well, and I was just, I could go a million places here, but Gallup's been measuring employee engagement also since the dawn of time. I don't remember life without Gallup and their 12 questions. There's a whole bunch of questions that measure engagement, and that's the level of involvement. Some of them look at the level of involvement and, participating in extra activities and that sort of thing.
Right.
Speaking up in meetings, having ideas, because part of quiet quitting is like, I attend the meeting or I skip the meeting, or I attend and I just, yes, exactly, Tamera. I sit back, I have nothing to say or offer. And so, I'm just, this isn't new. People have been playing solitaire, and they have been online shopping, and they have been, cheating, or whatever you want to call it, withholding their valuable talents from their employer. And it's a small number of people. Now, maybe some people would tell me, Jennifer and Tamera, this wave is so big. It's so much bigger than just that random isolated quiet quitter from the past. Maybe. I don't know. I refuse to buy that. I think it might be cool to say you're doing it or something. But I'm a driver. I am, kind of an animal or something. I don't quit. I don't even like the word quit. If you want to leave your employer, let's get your resume together and go to some place that you feel like values you. There's never been a better time to find a different employer. It's a complete employees market. Oh my goodness, why would I stay someplace and quietly quit and let my own skills get kind of rusty or not grow and not develop? I mean, I don't get it. Maybe I would quiet quit while I put my resume together and begin interviewing, but like to say that I'm going to hang out and do that. Now, I don't know. I don't get it myself. So, I mean, I do understand what's behind some of it and the spirit of it, but I don't think it's the right ultimate action.
Well, it's not 100% responsible. So that's what we always talk about. It's like, what can I do to drive the change that I'm looking for? If something's not working in my career development or progression or workload or whatever it is, how do I drive solving that? And, quiet quitting and then saying that that's what I'm doing isn't very quiet, by the way. So I'm not really sure about the whole wording. And we could go down that whole rat hole, but I won't go down there. So I don't understand that either. It's like, what are we going to do about that? And, how do we facilitate that? And there might be some legitimate things. So I'm going to tell a quick story. I didn't share this with you, Jen, but we were at a friend's house this weekend, and their 16-year-old is working at a local amusement park, and it's in the diner. And so lots of just and thankless job, and people are just rude when they run out of stuff. And, all of that's been going on with our dynamic right now. Well, they decided that they were going to institute a 1 hour, you have to get everything cleaned in 1 hour because you're milking the company and it's taking 2 to 2.5 hours to get things cleaned. And this is the fryers, the, the grills, all of it. It's not the Dippin' Dot stand, where you have to wipe everything down and, clean it and get ready to go. And they're like, who wants to stay and clean, fryers until 1 o'clock in the morning? And oh, by the way, I opened the next morning and it was a blanket communication. 5 people quit that day. And that was not very quiet.
And that's actually quitting, by the way.
Exactly.
That's not just frying fewer.
But there might be some things like that to solve, right? There might be some things to solve, I guess is my point. And we do have to look,
100%.
As the HR professionals and the leaders in the organization, we have to look and say, why are we getting this message? What is happening that's causing this message? Are we doing something crazy? Because that was crazy. That was a crazy message to send to a bunch of teenagers that, it's like, come on. And if they want to stay and clean, I would pay them all day long. But anyway, that's a, different, story. But what could we be doing? What's the message? What is it? And I go find out. I mean, that's always who we are, is go find out what's causing that. What is it that they want to know? So, I think that's the place to start is, what is the source of it? What's the cause of it? And it's on both sides, both sides could take that practice instead of just like throwing their arms up and making each other wrong, which is all that's happening right now in social media. And, all the communications that we're seeing about it is it's like, okay, the other party's wrong. So.
Yeah. Well, and Emily's out here saying, hey, part of it is that it's like the repetitive above and beyond with no real reward. And we're in the accounting and technology professions where the repetitive above and beyond busy seasons and compression and capacity issues, we're in the 3rd year solid of burnout. I mean, there is an overwhelming burnout. So I get what Emily's saying there completely, that like there's a moment where we say, enough. Yeah. You're not solving the underlying issue. You're saying you're going to solve it, but we see nothing that gives us hope. And as an employer, I'm never going to let you off the hook for having a bad strategy and a poor vision and no hope, right? Not trying anything new to improve or change the circumstances. I get it. And I get employees thinking, well, look, I'm done with above and beyond because it's killing me here. I totally get it. And so I understand. And then you'd say to your employer, I need new boundaries. I've got to reset the boundaries here. A good, mature professional would say, I'm burnt. I don't feel like I'm winning and I don't see change happening. So I want to redraw my boundaries. I want to withdraw from some of this extra effort. I need to get my life in order. And then I'll regroup and evaluate. And if you gave that feedback enough to your employer and enough people gave it, maybe, I know it's not a perfect, but maybe they'd be smart enough to say, man, we got to change something. We're out there at Convergence trying to change everything, about the business models of everybody right now, because we need to bring hope to the people, hope to the talent. Talent first, everything else second. Make whatever changes you have to make, in order to make sure you protect your talent and that you appreciate them. We are straightforward with that. If that's the banner of quiet quitting, then I'm holding it. But I am not holding it like passive aggressively and silently doing it because A, the employer doesn't get the message for a long, long time. And B, and so no change happens. But B, it does hurt the person, at some point for their lack of engagement somewhere along the line. And I don't care if the employer is disappointed with that person. I'm talking about that person's growth, right? Their ability to grow and rise and have these experiences and say that they did these things that will help them in the next place that they're going whenever they go there. That's what I'm worried about. The other thing I'll have to confess that I'm worried about, and I actually used a cuss word when I talked about this with Tamera before. I'm not going to use that. Don't worry, Tamera. But I cussed about it because I'm so sad that quiet quitting is happening at the same time that we are working night and day to try to get, in particular, the accounting profession to get over the idea of getting like forcing return to work, RTO it's called. and trust remote and blended work. Trust it. For crying out loud, your people are good. So we're saying, trust. People will cheat you if they're in the cubicle right outside your office, and no, hardly anybody's cheating you. So get off that idea and let your people work anytime, anywhere, and just trust them. And here's all the strategies to do it successfully. That's what we're spending all our energy on. And then quiet quitting creeps in. And guess what happens? All the traditionalists call us up and send us emails and say, aha, we told you they weren't working that hard at home. They've quit. They've quietly quit. And now we're going to return them to the office where we can rebuild our culture and get them re-engaged. And now they will be back to work, and we're like, oh no, that's not the point. So quiet quitting, unfortunately, is confusing things with remote and blended, and it has nothing to do with it. Okay, we know that. It's just another thing that the traditionalists can jump on to try to force RTO. And so,
Well, I think that's the message to the quiet quitters is be careful of the message that you're sending, because that's one of the implications is you're proving right that remote doesn't work and we need everybody back in the office, and I need to be able to see what you're doing, and I need to see you're not on the internet, or I need to see you're not washing the dog, or whatever it might be.
There's
And it's like, results, what are the results? And so we've got to produce the results and figure out how are we managing by results, how are we checking in against that. And it's not about I have my thumb on you. Like that's what that is. It's like I'm gonna have my thumb on you. And if they're gonna cheat you, or if they're gonna quit quietly, they're gonna be on the movie phone, and they're gonna use that as their timer, and they're gonna do it anyway. So they'll find a way if they're gonna do that. So
sitting in your office,
it's not about that.
Sitting in the same conference room with you, they'll do it if they're going to do it. And so few people do it. So, almost everybody is good and their intentions are good and they want to be part of something fantastic and they want to make a difference for others and they love to work on a team and they want to give their best and they need to know that we're making progress. And right now, in many, many entities around this country, it feels like we're on a treadmill, or worse, a treadmill going too high where we're sliding backward, and people are sick of it, and I'm sick of it too. I get it. We're all sick of that. Okay, so quiet quitters, come back around and tell us what needs to change, and come from not problem pointing outing. Also, please provide some solutions if you have any, but point the problems out just in case nobody gets them or sees them. Please. And then employers.
And be part of the solution, by the way. I don't mean to interrupt, but be part of the solution also. Yes. And
where they can be, but then only if employers are going to change to drive that solution. Try some stuff. How can it hurt us? We are in such a weird time. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not, I've been saying something that my kids say sounds weird, but I'm going to say it anyway. There isn't a secret pumpkin patch out in somebody's backyard growing 23-year-old employees. They don't exist. There's a shortage of human beings at a certain age, and we're all going to compete for them. And we've got to figure out a new way of doing business with fewer people. It's just the way it is. And we want to be that destination workplace with real wow factors. And you got to figure out what your wow factor is going to be. And it isn't that, we forced everybody back to the office because we thought they were quiet quitting on us. That's not a wow factor. And, so what is it? What are you going to change? What could you tell your people that you're trying to change the circumstances? And then how could you have them help you make it better? And then those that need to redraw boundaries, this is a long game. Your career is a long game, ladies and gentlemen. You have kids. They throw you off a little bit. You got to spend some time with those kids. You need to figure out a new rhythm. You can't give like you used to give. Maybe you can if you've got different circumstances and different childcare and stuff, but I don't care who you are or what your circumstances are. Every little family shift that happens, any change to who's living in that house with you, it's going to change your work paradigm. My mom passed in June. It's messed with me. There's people relocate. It throws you off track. whatever it is, we're going to have that. And so we have to tell our employers, hey, man, this isn't working for me anymore. And this is what I need, and see if they'll give it to you.
And it could be temporary. It might be, I just need a period
Probably.
of time to shift and figure
That's
it out. And then we'll come back. And we could even build that in. I'll check in 60 days, you know? So it doesn't have to be this infinite unknown uncertainty. And it feels like the employers are always bending, which we always hear. It's like, we're always flexing. Flex is a two-way street. Yes, it is. So let's put some parameters around it. And let's check in and see how it's working, you know, for both parties, all parties. It's got to be win-win-win. And so we can figure that out. So we can build those things in.
For sure. And I just think, you know, again, it always comes back to like authentic, transparent, caring communication, both with directions. And we won't have to have, you know, any sort of secrecy about this, quiet about this kind of thing. We can redraw boundaries, ask for what we need to have happen, you know, suggest change, hope for the best. And then frankly, if none of that's happening and our lives aren't getting better and we're sitting there disappointed in how it's going, then quit for real.
Right.
Not quiet, quit for real.
Well, life is too short and there's so many opportunities out there. We hate to see that happen, but we want everyone to be successful and feel like they're winning. And we want your organization to win. And sometimes that's the right answer. So
yes,
not bad.
Tamera, thanks for engaging with me on this one. I mean, I know you know, it's important, so important and so misunderstood, and we're just still trying to figure it out ourselves. So we welcome your input on this subject.
Yes.
In social or direct to email. And if there's more subjects that you want to make sure we're covering from an HR perspective, do not hesitate to reach out to us, and we're happy to add them to our broadcast.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.
Take care.